All right, she has got a lot of gold already in her trophy case, but she is going for more gold, which I just saw that Jack Della Maddalena said is worth $350,000. Now, I don't know if Jack knows what he's talking about or not, but he does have one of those UFC title belts. And Kayla Harrison, my next guest, is going for one June 7th at UFC 316. She will challenge the bantamweight champion Julianna Peña for the belt. Kayla, welcome. Two-time Olympic gold medalist, former PFL champion, soon to be UFC champion. What do you think?
You're damn right. Soon to be and new. Thank you for that introduction. I like the new opening for your show. Snazzy.
How about that? You know, I got to get some. Nobody wants to be looking at my face, so the less amount of time I can have that going on. So
that's not true.
You know, I want to get into this with you. You know, when you started, you had MMA, you know, you signed with the PFL and you had that lengthy time off, right? Then you were an active fighter for a long period of time. Now I wonder, as if you having to cut down all that weight, are you going to ever be able to follow that same schedule again? Are you always going to have to be fighting, you know, long periods of time apart to allow your body to recover?
4 fights a year, there's no way in hell I'll ever do that again.
Yeah.
I mean, not even from a weight cut perspective, just I mean, granted, it was a very it wasn't a full year.
Right.
You know, the season started in April and would end in October or December, depending on whatever kind of mood they were in. But no, yeah, I don't think that that's feasible. And also just like the point I'm at in my life. I love fighting. It's given me a life I could never have dreamed of. And it is definitely my purpose. It's my gift that I feel driven to continue to chase. But, you know, I also enjoy spending time with my kids and, I don't know, working on my vegetable garden. So I have found the balance, and 4 fights a year is not part of it.
Do you feel like, you know, now that you had all those fights, it helped you get to this point that you're actually better because mentally, you know, you're energized when you go into training camp?
100%. I think that, you know, for the first time in my career, I'm at the point where I'm maybe the more seasoned fighter. I probably have more fights under my belt most of the time. And, the experience, the time in the cage. I think even like I was fighting at 155 pounds before. So I was sometimes smaller, and no one believes that, but I was smaller than, so now I'm the bigger, faster, stronger, and more experienced fighter. And I think that is all going to work out nicely for me.
You know, when you made your UFC debut at UFC 300, that was like maybe the performance of a lifetime against Holly Holm, right? I mean, you get out there and, you know, a Hall of Fame boxer, a Hall of Fame for sure. You know, she's going to be in the Hall of Fame in the UFC someday, I would think, you know, so a 2-sport Hall of Famer, and you went out there and you know, I know it wasn't easy, but you made it look easy, right? Maybe not so easy against Ketlin Vieira in your last fight at UFC 307. Was that because of Ketlin? Was that because of your health issues? I know you spent time in the hospital that week, or was that just kind of like, hey, you're not always going to be the, you know, the Michael Jordan every night?
Yeah, I think probably all those things played a factor, you know, the elevation, the, you know, physical stuff, and Ketlin prepared very well. I watched the fight back, and listen, it's hard to make stuff happen when you're fighting a very defensive fighter. And so, I think it all played a role, but it is what it is. I had a lot of things to work on and opportunities to figure out how I could be better the next go around. And I'm grateful for that. You know, we need that. I need that. I can't just keep going out winning in spectacular. Like, I need to be pushed. I need to be challenged. And, it made me an even better fighter. So
How much do you think, I mean, nobody who knows your background would say you're nothing but a winner, right? I mean, the two Olympic gold medals, everything you did in the PFL. Now, within your third fight, you're fighting for a UFC championship. But that loss to Larissa Pacheco, how much do you think it helped you from just kind of making, kind of smacking you in the face and saying, hey, Kayla, you're human and
Yeah,
these other girls are going to be gunning for you?
100%. I mean, I think that it did so much more than just as a fighter. I think like that loss um changed me as a person in a really good way. Like um as you know, I have two kids now. I adopted two children, and like I just spent so much of my life and so much of my youth thinking that I had to win or I was worthless and
Right.
didn't have gold medals. And if I didn't have world titles, that like I wasn't worthy or I
Hmm.
like wasn't enough. I wasn't enough. And I mean, I got after that loss, I came home and I was devastated and heartbroken. And I talked to my daughter's therapist, and I said like, "Hey, how's she doing?" They were at the fight. Like, is she traumatized? I'm like making it all about me, of course, but I was like, "Is she okay?" And she's like, "What do you mean?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"She was at the fight. She watched me lose. Like, this is a big deal. Like, I lost." And her therapist was like, "Kayla, honey, I asked her about the trip, and she's like, we got to go to New York for Thanksgiving and we had pizza, and well, we went to Central Park and my mom had a fight. She lost, but then we went out to dinner to this other place and we went to the Empire State Building. Like, she doesn't care.
That
She
wasn't
doesn't
bad, huh?
give a shit." And I was like, oh my God. Like, that may sound so trivial to people, but
Right.
that was like a light bulb moment in my life where I was like, they don't care if I win or lose. They don't care if I have a UFC belt or a gold medal or a this or a that. They just care about mom. They just love
Right.
me. And that changed who I am. It changed how I fight. It changed how I approach life. Um, I no longer operate from that place of fear of unworthiness. I fight because I love it and I want to, and I want to see
Right.
how high I can climb. And I think it's made me better.
Speaking of better, Juliana was a huge underdog to Amanda Nunes when she won the title the first time, and it was kind of a shocking win then. One of the biggest upsets, I think, in UFC history. You are
Sure.
now better than a 6-1 favorite to win the championship on June 7th. My question would be this: do you have to be aware of like what Juliana did in the past, the fact that she rose up and beat the woman still considered the greatest women's MMA fighter of all time, and you know what, maybe the greatest MMA fighter period, right? And
Mhm.
she did that. Do you have to be concerned, like knowing that she's able to raise her game when she needs to?
Uh, no. I mean, yes, but no. Like, I'm a different person from Amanda. I'm a different fighter, and I
Hmm.
think that Juliana's best attribute is that she's got a lot of heart and she is a fighter at who she is. But um, honey, so am I.
Yeah.
And I don't think um, I thrive. I thrive under pressure and I thrive under the big lights. And I know that I'm the best in the world and that this is my moment. And so I'm going to go out there and instill my will 5 minutes at a time, one round at a time, one exchange at a time, one breath at a time, 1 minute at a time.
I know that you can't do anything about what the weight classes are, but you probably be better off if you're fighting at 45 than 35. I don't think anybody what could argue that.
I
How
wouldn't.
much of a difference you've had two fights now at 35? So how
Yeah.
much of a difference is it physically for you when you're going down in your training and you hit 45 at one point? What's the difference between 45 and 35 for you in terms of how good you are, how explosive you are, how strong you are, and how quickly you can recover from the weight cut?
Uh, I mean, yeah, it's, 10 pounds is a lot. It's a lot. It's a big difference. And for sure, I'm probably much more, um, I'm built for 45 realistically, but um, I don't spend a ton of time thinking about it because it's something that's out of my control. And I signed the contract. I chose to make this sacrifice because I believe it'll be worth it. So it doesn't matter. I'm going to be the best 135er in the world because that's what the weight class is.
I want to ask you this because, you hear sometimes fans, criticize fighters, and that happens a lot, right? Hey, believe me, they criticize us, but they just don't pay as much attention to me as they do to you, right? But I guess the question is this, sometimes they'll say you're afraid, or, people are saying John Jones is afraid now, right? Come on, the greatest fighter of all time, and they're saying he's afraid. My question would be, like, when you're laying there cutting that weight and, it's got to totally suck. Like, do you ever ask yourself, why the hell am I doing this? Like, what motivates me to do this to myself and to my body?
Kevin, all the time, all the time. I read a quote not too long ago, and it said, it said, WWE fans are like fans of Shakespeare. They have a favorite character. They see Macbeth or this, and they watch the performance and they cheer and they applaud the performance. MMA fans are like fans that go to the Coliseum to see the gladiator versus the tiger. They don't care if the tiger dies or the gladiator dies. They just want to see blood. And I thought that was a very apt quote. And it's true of MMA fans. I wish they were a little more diehard. I wish we had a little more, like, you don't hear about a Red Sox fan all of a sudden cheering for the Yankees,
Right.
It would never happen. So I do wish that our fans could learn to stick with a fighter to the end. And listen, fighting is nuts, Kevin. I am so scared about what I'm going to be doing around this time next Thursday. I'm going to be suffering. And even when I walk to the cage sometimes, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? This is batshit crazy. I am getting locked inside of a cage with another human being and trying to hurt them, and they're going to try to hurt me. So anyone who says that it's not scary is a liar. But that's where we grow. That's where we, I truly feel like this path is my path and this is my purpose. And I never would, you couldn't have, if you had told me at 20 years old, at 25 years old, even at 30 years old, hey, Kayla, you're going to weigh 135 pounds and you're going to fight for the UFC title. I would have been like, well, you're batshit crazy because I'm never going to weigh 135 pounds. But I'm being forged in the fire and I'm being refined and I am being, I have a level of discipline that not many human beings on this planet have. And I am so grateful for that. I am so grateful for who it's made me. There's nothing in this world that I cannot accomplish. Like, I believe that with all my heart because I've been through hell and back.
And that was my question. Your life has not been an easy one. Forget about it in MMA, but just your entire personal life and everything that you've been through. What kind of advice could you give people just in everyday life that maybe are going through issues in their life that, that could help get them through it, given that you've overcome so much yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. I think about this a lot because at different moments in my life, I needed different things. But one thing I truly believe is, my faith. I believe that God has a purpose for me and he is for me, not against me. And that has got me through some of the darkest moments of my life where I didn't want to be here anymore. And because of that faith, God has brought people into my life who have picked me up when I couldn't pick myself up and who have believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And I think that saved me and changed me. I did not have an easy road. All of us are going to have obstacles in life. All of us are going to have roadblocks and all of us are going to have moments where we want to quit or we're down or the deck is stacked against us. But I believe that through faith and everyone, like that tiny voice inside that says, don't quit, not yet, just a little bit more. That's God to me. Right. And that's what gets me to 135 pounds next Friday morning. That's what is going to see me through this fight. That's what's going to help me have the belt wrapped around my waist and give Dana, it's 3 fights in, so Dana gets a hug at this point. And I know that no matter what, I'm going to be okay because of that.
So 2 other questions. I remember at the 2016 Olympics, I covered tennis and judo and boxing. Those were the three things I covered. And I remember talking to Serena Williams, and she said something really interesting. She lost. And I was asking her about, like, hey, going for the gold medal. And she said, sweetie, you don't always win. You don't always get to stand on the top of the platform. The most important thing is the effort you gave. And I gave my best effort out here. And I wonder if you can, when you look at your fighting career, not just your MMA career, but your overall fighting career, can you relate to that?
I mean, that's how you know that she's a real champion, because the real champions know it's not about the gold medals that are sitting in my sock drawer collecting dust. It's not about the world. It's not about any of that. It's about the person I became. It's about the effort I put in. It's about, did I show up for myself? Did I do the extra lap? Did I walk the extra mile? Did I carry myself with dignity? And did I put forth, what's that to give anything less than your best is to sacrifice the gift. And I refuse to do that. So no matter what happens, I know I'm going to win, but no matter what happens, I have given my absolute best in my career. And I have made something that I'm proud of as a person, who I am, who I've become, how I've carried myself. And I can sleep good at night knowing that.
So that segues perfectly to my last question. You wrote a book that was a phenomenal book, and it was a slice in time of your life, right? Yeah. So now that you have become this different person, a better person that you have ever been, if you complete this journey, will we see a sequel to the book to kind of talk about how the changes in Kayla were?
Oh man, I do love to write, and it is definitely something I would like to do. I don't know if it'll be possible to do it with 2 young children in the house. So it might have to be like a way past her prime Kayla Harrison book. My first book was really educational, much more educational oriented. And I would love to write a memoir someday and really just kind of talk about it from my point of view, and share what I've learned, and maybe inspire a couple people, maybe make a couple people cry, happy tears. But I still got a lot of living left to do, Kevin.
I will read that one too. So
thank you, my friend. Thank you for
Kayla Harrison, June 7th, UFC 316. She will be fighting for the UFC Bantamweight Championship. Kayla, always good to see you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
See you soon.